House of the Dragon sets fire to the competition when it comes to modern day television. It delivers some of the best drama, characters, and action that I've ever seen, while capitalizing and improving upon the foundation laid by its predecessor, Game of Thrones. In my eyes, this first season has two parts. The first 5 episodes follow Rhaenyra and Alicent in their younger age. We're talking about late teenage to young adults here. The next 5 episodes follow them when they're women. They're married, they've given birth. The show kind of gives you these time jumps between episodes, and this is something that I thought was really cool. It helps move the story faster. The viewer's kept in the dark on what's gone on, and we slowly kind of get these reveals of what happens between episodes. To the people that hate the castings for older Alicent and Rhaenyra, get your eyes checked immediately. My name is Cale McCall, and you're watching Television Tuesday, presented by Studio 24. This week, we're reviewing House of the Dragon. Super quick, I'm going to go over some of the technical aspects of the show. So if you're just a casual viewer and are kind of just following this for the story, go ahead and click on this timestamp. Maybe you're just looking for a recap to Season 1 before you watch Season 2, and that's perfectly fine. But for my real film nerds out there that like to dive deep into movies and TV, come with me. We're gonna start with talking about the music. Man, how did the music get better from Game of Thrones? Genuinely. It feels like each episode has just such an elaborate score. Just the theme, Rhaenyra's theme, is amazing. The music just really gets me into some of these scenes. The cinematography is also incredible. And I want to talk about this kind of streaming versus network TV show thing real quick, because Game of Thrones was made for a more network TV audience. You know, this was coming out week to week and people were watching it and loving it. You know, I think this format allows just for less time, and I've seen it in shows like Stranger Things, Ozark, you know, a lot of these new Netflix shows that are coming out, Wednesday, and others. You see that when they're made for streaming, it seems like the filmmakers have a lot more time to get some more elaborate shot selection, some more dynamic camera movements. Maybe we're even getting aerial cinematography and all kinds of other things that come to the table. And House of the Dragon is not to fall short of this conversation. This cinematography is insane. And, you know, I've seen in some of the behind the scenes, the Red Keep they've built inside of a sound stage, so I'm sure they're able to tear out those walls and move the camera just about any way they want to, and it shows. The combination of this powerful cinematography with their use of XR volume stage technology that's really become huge here lately. You know, some of my favorite work that's been done on this is probably some of Greg Fraser's work on like the Batman and Dune. But man, House of the Dragon is also amongst some of the media who has perfected it. I really like that they've recreated the bridge in Dragonstone, and that's something they shot on location in Game of Thrones. The cinematography, the color, the effects that are going on in House of the Dragon make it one of the best shows going on in television right now. The wardrobe actually won the Emmy for Outstanding Fantasy Sci-Fi Costumes. I would go ahead and assume it'll win this every year there's a season of House of the Dragon coming on TV. I mean, come on. Young Rhaenyra had some really awesome looking costumes, and Daemon's armor is amongst some of the best wardrobe in Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon. But the characters here, I once said in my Game of Thrones video, Game of Thrones does sit on the Iron Throne of TV characters for me. House of the Dragon has to sit there with it. The characters are dynamic, strong, greedy, powerful, undermining, passionate, and much more. Our lead of the show and the heir to the Iron Throne is Princess Rhaenyra Targaryen. She reminds you of Daenerys in ways such as appearance, bloodline, and attitude, but differs because she originally doesn't want the throne. and doesn't want anything to do with politics, really. But I think it's really her heart and her connection to King Viserys that we really love, and that makes me root for her. If you're rooting for the Greens, click off this video. Get out of here. Nah, absolutely not. I won't have that here. The High Towers are gone in Game of Thrones for a reason. Now, I want to talk about King Viserys for just a second. I have to say, I think this is the best king we've seen in either show so far. King Viserys truly has the realm in mind, and makes family sacrifices, personal sacrifices, to ultimately keep the realm intact, to keep it running. I mean, I think about the very first episode where he loses Aemma trying to give the realm a son. He wants to please the people. He wants a true heir, and then he realizes he has one. We really see him trying to keep House Targaryen together, especially at the end of his life. I love the dinner scene. We're also introduced to his snake of a hand, Otto Hightower. You kind of learn what kind of guy he is when we meet his daughter, who's Rhaenyra's best friend, and I really liked Alicent at first. But when she's sent by her dad to comfort the king after his wife dies, this is a scum of the earth move right here. And eventually Otto gets what he wants when he sees his daughter Queen of the Realm. And I'll note that I love Rhaenyra and Alicent's friendship in the beginning, and it's really powerful when you see sparks of, hey, we used to be best friends, once you get the older actresses, but because of the whole political situation, they just can never agree again. But this is whatever to this point, because who cares about the Greens? Other really strong characters that I don't mention in this intro include Daemon, Princess Rhaenys, the Valyrians, all of them really, Jason Luke, and there are even more. But okay, let's just get into the plot. Rhaenyra's ascension to becoming heir in the first couple episodes is really fun, because you see that everyone's telling King Viserys not to do it, and he has this moment where he talks to Rhaenyra beside Balerion the Dread's skull, and he pretty much has her know that, like, hey, we don't own the power, the dragons do. But everyone thinks we control the power, and that's what the House Targaryen is built off of, and Rhaenyra immediately understands this, and he names her heir to the throne, and I love that he sticks to it. He never goes back on that. Even though Alicent thinks he does in the end, he really doesn't. Seeing all the old dragons in the show is really cool. We only got to see 3 in Game of Thrones, so you get to see all of these dragons, and then eventually Rhaenyra and Alicent's kids are getting dragons, and this is just a fun aspect of the show. I really like the story arc between Daemon and King Viserys. These are brothers that are separated, they can't get along, they don't function the same way. They have very different strategies and methods of doing things, but you see moments where they really do love each other. Although, I gotta say, Daemon and Rhaenyra, although I'm rooting for them, their relationship is weird. I still don't know how comfortable I can be with this. It just kind of is what it is, I guess. Now, I can accept that it's a Targaryen custom, I think. But I hate to see moments where he's treating her like shit. This isn't fun. But I do like that him and Viserys kind of end up with this respect for each other at the end, and I do think that they end up crushing a lot of the bad blood. Even though, maybe Daemon still thinks Viserys was a fool, and maybe Viserys still thinks Daemon was a fool. They are kind of these two characters who can look past it because of their blood. Then you get the plotline with Rhaenyra marrying Laenor Velaryon, and this creates one of the strongest couples in the entire kingdom, and so it makes perfect sense almost now for Rhaenyra to become heir to the throne. We see the implications in the beginning where we find out Prince Laenor preferred men, and Rhaenyra knows this as well, and she's not really into the whole arranged marriage thing. So at first you're like, maybe this is gonna kind of work out as a political marriage, and they have this agreement that we're gonna go pursue our own wants and needs. And then we get the time jump and we meet all of their children who look nothing like Sir Laenor, and this immediately becomes an issue, and Alicent will not let it go. It's this matter that kind of has Alicent saying, hey, you have a son now, to King Viserys. Like, there's no reason for Rhaenyra to be parading these bastard children around as princes and let her take the throne when we should just give it to Aegon. And Viserys, till his deathbed, shuts this down, but it still ends up happening. But let's talk about the kids for just a little bit. Rhaenyra's kids are probably my favorite. They represent her a lot. Now you match these kids with Daemon and Laena's kids, and Daemon and Rhaenyra have a really strong house together, even though they're young. Now Viserys and Alicent, on the other hand, have some shithead kids. Aegon and Aemon are about as reckless as it gets. We see Aegon jerking off in the window that we saw Tommen jump out of, and this was jarring for me. Aemon as well stole Vhagar and has the biggest dragon in the world and ends up killing Lucerys and his dragon. So this has started the war. I assume this has started the Dance of Dragons, truly. We even hear about the Dance of Dragons in Game of Thrones. Ultimately, I think this show is the perfect prequel to Game of Thrones, and it's a great predecessor to the story. I think they've only taken the formula and made it better. Some of my other key moments that I don't really talk about throughout the video include Daemon defeating the Crab Feeder, this whole arc of Daemon being gone for years and he hasn't seen his brother, and then he finally comes back, he puts an end to the war. This is an awesome scene. King Viserys' hunt on Aegon's first name day where he's trying to marry Rhaenyra is also really cool. It's this supposed to be celebration of life, which is really just a big political arrangement where people are trying to arrange a better seat for themselves. One of my favorite scenes in the whole entire show is Rhaenyra pulling up the Dragonstone once Daemon's taken it and stolen a dragon egg. Rhaenyra pulls up on her dragon and shuts that down. It's this first moment where we see how much pizzazz and power Rhaenyra can truly carry on her, and I love this scene. One of the last things I want to talk about is Daemon singing at the end of episode 10. I really didn't know what was going on here. You know, they talk about unclaimed dragons within the family, and I don't really have that much knowledge from Fire and Blood, so I had kind of was shocked to find this huge dragon at Dragonstone that Daemon is singing to, visiting. I can only imagine he's trying to tame or claim this thing, which he already has a dragon, so maybe it's not for him. This is still really cool. Nonetheless, I was able to look into this, and this dragon is Vermithor, which is the second largest Targaryen-owned dragon. This is the second biggest to Vhagar, which gives them a little bit of a fighting chance. And I can't wait to see the Dance of Dragons, the Blacks versus the Greens. I'm obviously Team Rhaenyra and Daemon. June 16th, House of the Dragon Season 2 will release, and I can't wait to be back at the end of the season reviewing that, because I just can't wait to watch the show. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Television Tuesday presented by Studio 24. We have a couple others like it. I just did Game of Thrones 5 years later. We've done Avatar: The Last Airbender, Invincible, X-Men 97. Go check out some of those episodes. We have Studio Cinema Saturday, where we do the same thing, but we review movies, and, you know, only the best movies, obviously. Alien, Roadhouse, The Iron Claw, Civil War. Go check out some of that too. We'll see you there.